Alrighty, sir. Here we are back again
We're back.
at our second attempt for a little podcasty promo before tonight's Lenten soup supper. So just I guess off the back of last week, we spoke some about talking about death
hmm
with other people, and I guess tonight's kind of going to link to that. So
hmm
I guess first of all, what were your thoughts about last week, and or insights that came, and then kind of bleeding into this week, how is that going to relate?
Yeah, I thought last week was a great discussion with the group,
Mhm.
and as I reflected on it, and even in my preparation for that specific class, it's not. I recognize that it's kind of a strange topic for a young person to lead
Sure.
with, especially with some of the very seasoned people that in our
Mhm.
church, and I don't think that I was necessarily the most qualified person to speak on that topic,
Okay.
but I loved how but I loved how willing people were to share their own insights and their own experiences, and I think that was a real rich time of it.
Right.
And like we said in the class, we can give best practices, but it's all situation based too, um, and yeah. So
And I think
my,
to assure people that even because we looked at one point about cliches, people say
yeah,
like, heaven has gained another angel and
yeah,
sort of
yeah, right,
things that are
right,
probably
right,
well intentioned, but unfortunately don't always come off smooth in the moment.
right,
That said, I think it was good to remind people to say, look, if anything is said with sincerity of heart, I think that will come across.
yeah,
The fact that you're taking an interest and not just going, well, I better not say anything at all seems to me
right,
the far better thing. Better to put your foot in your mouth than it would be to just not even bother.
sure,
And so, but also something we didn't talk about as much in the session that I think we as probably ministers of the gospel would say is that death does provide an opportunity, I think, to share the gospel, to
hmm
speak of God's glory, and presence with people as they travel through grief. And so I grant that everyone's not doing that sort of pastoral approach, maybe
yeah,
like you and I are
sure,
as workers at the church. But it provides a platform, if I can call it that, to put it in those modern terms, a
hmm
platform to speak about death with people in a way that's probably more heard
yeah,
on account of their feelings and situation than it is just on a Sunday morning or
hmm
on a street corner or any other place we might present that same news about Jesus. So,
right, yeah. It becomes a little bit more real and pressing
mm,
for folks in this
absolutely.
season. So yeah,
In fact, someone pointed out this morning on morning prayer about how our reading from Romans 8, 1 to 11 talked about death versus
yeah,
life in the
yeah,
spirit and how people are making those connections.
yeah.
So
It's great.
it is good. It is
Yeah,
really good. So how does that affect tonight then? What's kind of our game plan for tonight and how is it
yeah.
going to differ from last week?
Yeah, so last week it was much more of a free and open discussion
Mhm.
about the topic of how you talk to people about it. Tonight will be a panel of people from our congregation who are going to come and share a little bit of their own stories and how they
Cool.
have encountered grief in their life or loss or
Mhm.
suffering, or walked with people through those seasons.
Right.
And so yeah, we'll have a panel discussion. Father Allen is going to lead it.
Hmm.
And I think it'll be another rich time to get to know fellow parishioners a little bit better and hear some of their
Right.
story in a deeper, more meaningful way. But there will also be time of engagement and talking through that with
Right.
them. But yeah, so that it'll be specifically for um, hearing a couple of people's stories and how their
Mhm.
faith worked. How they sorry how their faith carried them through this
I gotcha.
season of change. I'm coming off of a middle school chaplain, so it's really hard to switch my brain over to this,
The
but
joys of ministry life,
I
eh?
know, right? But we're
Um,
here.
but it's nice too about that because so often I think, especially for things like Lenten soup suppers and other
Yeah.
formation things that we do here at St. Timothy's, um, a lot of our parishioners look to us as the experts.
Yeah.
And that's good. In some ways, we are. We're
Yeah.
trained experts. But that said, it's always nice when we can inform people's faith through their fellow peers and
Right.
parishioners. I mean, death is something that is not limited to us. And so the fact
Absolutely.
that we can glean from that wider knowledge. And also, as you say, it relates the congregation together.
Right.
Things when you learn about someone, the deep challenges they've gone through, the pain they've gone through, how can you not help but just respond to them
Right.
with a greater affection
Yeah.
and a building of those bonds as the fellowship of Christ.
Mhm.
So yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Good.
So I hope it'll be a good discussion. We've got some
Okay.
exciting folks in our
Well, we
panel,
shall
so
see. And I assume we
yeah.
will invite questions from the floor, even of
Yeah,
course, though
definitely.
it is people who are sharing their stories. I think we want to encourage all of you to still come with things that you're
Mhm.
chewing on. And as questions do arise, ask them. I'm sure most of our panel members will not mind being asked any
Yeah.
questions. So don't feel like it's just you got to shut your mouth and listen.
That's right, that's right.
So good.
Yeah.
Well, it's tonight at 6 p.m. So we start with soup, as we have for
Mhm.
eons,
Yes,
decades.
that's right.
Start with soup at 6 p.m. and then we'll sort of around 6:45 ish. There's a little bit of a fuzzy border, but around 6:45 ish, we start to make our way into the chapel. That is the secondary chapel, not the main church, and have a time of discussion and fellowship. And then we end with Compline, which is always nice,
Yeah,
just to end our time in prayer. And yeah, it
yeah.
rounds out the evening well.
Yeah,
So
it'll be a good time. It's like herding turtles, getting them from the
yeah,
parish
a
hall.
little bit, a little. Excuse me. Yes, it is
Yeah.
like hurting turtles a little bit. So, touche. Well, good. Well, folks, we'll hopefully see you tonight. But if you can't join us this evening, we do have one final Lenten soup supper
Yep.
next Wednesday.
Mhm.
That is April
I don't even know what
16th.
today is, the 2nd?
I believe it's the 16th. So that will be our. Is that right?
No, no,
No,
no,
no,
no,
no,
it'd
no,
be the
no. I'm
ninth,
jumping
April
ahead.
9th.
It will be the 9th.
Yeah,
Thank you. See,
yep.
where's my brain? Yes, the 9th. So we'll have one final one, and so do if you can't come this evening, okay, try to come to that last one,
Yeah,
and we'd love to have you. So
yeah, and that last topic will be on, dying well and how do we live our lives now to prepare for that. Dying
absolutely.
well doesn't just happen on your deathbed; it happens in the life that you live now, and so
Absolutely.
we'll
And it kind
explore
of
that.
just one last invitation too. If you're watching this and maybe you have been able to participate and you do want to talk to myself or Stephen or someone else about dying well or just dying in general, whether regarding yourself or someone else, reach out to us.
Yeah,
That invitation is there, and don't feel you just need to engage with what's online, but give us a call and we'll sit and speak to you about it. And
yeah,
it's a big topic, and so we're glad people are thinking about it, even though it is again a bit grim
yes, it's a
of a
good word.
topic. It's a good thing to be thinking about. So,
Yeah,
so reach out to us in the church office, and we'll go from there. Okay. Have a good day, everyone. Thank you, Stephen.
yeah, of
I know you got
course.
another chapel service to go
That's
to,
right.
so onward, brother, as you lead the young. So
That's
we'll
right.
see you tonight, everyone.
All right.
Bye
Bye bye.
bye.